I'm going to teach you 80 advanced English idiomatic expressions in this video. But I'm not just going to tell you what they are and give you the meanings. I'm going to make this more interesting for you, like a real lesson that contains memory tests, quizzes, gap fills, matching games, and more. What's an idiom, though? An idiom is a group of words with a meaning that is not recognizable from the individual words. So if I say, it's a piece of cake, well, I may literally mean it's a piece of cake like the one you can see, but it's also an idiom that you could use to mean that something is easy. So a piece of cake, you couldn't work out that that means easy from the individual words, but put them all together and people often use them as an idiom to mean it's easy. It's a piece of cake. My first challenge is called Find the Idioms. How many idioms can you find in 10 seconds? Use the rewind button as many times as you need. I'm going to show you a text. You've got 10 seconds to find the idioms, starting now. The first idiom is a big deal. It was Julia's first week in her new job and she was already feeling under pressure. Her manager gave the impression that everything was a big deal, and this means important or significant. The next one is give me a break. Give me a break, she said to herself as she tried to, and here give someone a break means take the pressure off. Julia wants the manager to take the pressure off her. The next one is get the hang of. She tried to get the hang of the new system. And when you try to get the hang of something, it means become used to doing something. And the fourth and final one is go the extra mile. Put in more effort than usual. Did you find all four? There are 4 more in the next part of the text. So again, how many idioms can you find in the next 10 seconds? Remember to use the rewind button as many times as you like. Here comes the text. And this time we had an idiom, call it a day. By 7 p.m, Julia was exhausted. Let's call it a day, her co-worker Sam suggested. Call it a day means stop working for the day, carry on again tomorrow. The next one is for what it's worth, and that means propose your opinion. So on their way out, he said, for what it's worth, I think you're doing great. For what it's worth, now I'm going to share my opinion after this. Then hang in there. Stay strong in spite of a challenge. Hang in there, Julia. You're doing well. You're under a challenge. Don't stop. And cut to the chase. Sam said, can we cut to the chase? Julia's been working hard and making progress. Here, miss out unnecessary details. Let's not talk about lots of other things. Let's get to the real issue, which is Julia is doing well. In my next challenge, you need to match the beginnings and endings to make 9 more idioms. Here are the beginnings of the idioms: out of, spill, that's the, jump, keep, let the cat, hit the nail, on the same, take it. I wonder if you already recognise some of those beginnings. Which endings do they match? On the head, the gun, in mind, out of the bag, page, the blue, the beans, easy, and last straw. Can you match any of those up? Did you spot the first one, which is hit the nail on the head? This means to accurately describe the vital point. Then we had jump the gun, which means start too early. Keep in mind means remember this in the middle of another activity. If you let the cat out of the bag, it means you reveal a secret or a surprise accidentally. If you're on the same page, then you have the same viewpoint as the other person. Out of the blue means unexpectedly or without warning. Spill the beans, reveal something secret, similar to let the cat out of the bag. And bear in mind, this is often has a negative connotation. If you spill the beans, then you probably shouldn't have shared the secret. If you take it easy, it means relax. Don't work too hard. Maybe don't even do any work at all. And that means the last one is that's the last straw. And that means one last problem that makes it all too hard. How good are you at remembering things? In this activity, I'm going to share 5 idioms and their meanings, and you need to remember them afterwards. So here's all the information. I'll read it out once, and then I'll test to see how well you've remembered it. A blessing in disguise is a good thing that initially seemed bad. Actions speak louder than words. That's an idiom that means what you do matters most. Back to square one means start over from the beginning. You've had a project, it's not gone very well, so you want to start again. Let's go back to square one. Bark up the wrong tree. If you accuse or pursue someone or something wrongly. So you're making an argument about something, you're trying to persuade something about the truth of a matter, but actually the other person knows that you're focusing on the wrong thing. You need to focus on something else. So they'll say to you, you are barking up the wrong tree. You need to focus on this other aspect. And then the final idiom here, bend over backwards. And this is when you make a great effort to help someone. I'm going to bend over backwards to help you learn English. That means I'm going to do everything I can to help you with your English learning. So a blessing in disguise. Actions speak louder than words. Back to square one. Bark up the wrong tree, bend over backwards. Can you remember them? So which idiom means a good thing that initially seemed bad? Say it yourself, then I'll reveal it. This one is a blessing in disguise. What about what you do matters most? What's the idiom here? Actions speak louder than words. Start over from the beginning was back to square one. What about the next one? Accuse or pursue wrongly. This one was bark up the wrong tree. What about the last one? Make great effort to help. Bend over backwards. Let's do it again with 5 different idioms. If you bite the bullet, that means you endure something painful or unpleasant. So sometimes you have to bite the bullet when perhaps you are asked by your manager to do a really hard task. If you don't do it, you're going to be sacked. You're going to lose your job. So you have to do the job to get the money. You don't want to do it, but you simply have to do it and make that decision to make that effort. You bite the bullet and you get on with the job. If you're caught red-handed, it means caught while doing something wrong. So if a robber goes into a bank and someone catches them when their hand is in the safe full of the money, then they've been caught red-handed. They've been caught while they were doing it. Cry over spilt milk. We often say, don't cry over spilt milk. That means complaining about something already done. It basically means this is in the past. We can't change it. So don't cry about it now. Don't get upset about it anymore. Don't cry over spilt milk. If you do someone a favour, it means help someone willingly. And if you face the music, then that means accept the consequences of your actions. You did something wrong, perhaps. There has to be some sort of penalty. So you have to face the music. You have to receive that penalty. You can't get away from it. Can you remember these idioms? Let's try. Starting with the first one. Which one was endure something painful or pleasant? Say it to yourself. Here it is. Did you say bite the bullet? If you're caught while doing something wrong, what's that? Caught red-handed. If you complain about something already done, cry over spilt milk. Help someone willingly. Do someone a favour. Accept consequences of actions. Face the music. Now it's the picture round. Here are 4 pictures. I'm going to show you 4 idioms. You need to match the idioms to the pictures. Here are the idioms. Go down in flames, have a chip on your shoulder, have a gut feeling, head over heels in love. Can you match these idioms to the pictures quickly now? Starting with go down in flames. This matches the picture at the bottom on the right, where there's a tick next to fail. If you go down in flames, then that means you're still putting in your best effort even while you fail, even while something goes wrong. Have a chip on your shoulder. This is the picture at the bottom on the left. If you have a chip on your shoulder, it means you have angry feelings towards someone that won't go away, perhaps because of something they did in the past. What about have a gut feeling? This is trust your instincts. Trust your instincts means you have a sense inside that something is right, something may be wrong, something should be a particular way, or that there's a truth that's not been revealed. Something inside you has a sense of something you can't necessarily know. And this is a gut feeling. If you have a gut feeling, you just have a sense of what the truth actually is. And head over heels must be the one on the left, where 2 people love each other in a romantic relationship. Head over heels means really strong romantic feelings. Let's do it again with these 4 pictures. Have a look at the pictures. Now look at the idioms. Match the idioms to the pictures. Read between the lines. Sweep something under the rug. Take a rain check. The ball is in your court. What about the first one? Read between the lines. That matches the picture in the bottom right. When you read between the lines, you read words, but there's something extra between that you can't actually see. In fact, this is more commonly used when people speak. People say something, and if you think about the individual words they mean, then you understand one thing, but then you try and understand the deeper meaning behind what they say, and actually they meant another thing. For example, if you're in a hot room with someone and the person next to you says, "Oh, it's really, really hot in here." Why did they say that? Perhaps you're sitting next to a window. And maybe, if you read between the lines, they want you to open the window so that the room gets cooler. How about sweep something under the rug? This is the picture that says ignore. If you sweep something under the rug, maybe that's an idea or a proposal or anything at all that may be a challenge or a difficulty and you want to forget it. So you try to sweep it under the rug. You try to pretend that it doesn't exist. You try to pretend to ignore it and hope that that way the problem will go away. What about take a rain check? Take a rain check matches the one on the left, where you're just constantly delaying things. The meaning of take a rain check is stop what you're doing and give yourself time to think about it and maybe decide to do it later. And the ball is in your court, well, that has to be the one on the right. You make a choice. Here, if you say the ball is in your court, it means it's your turn to decide. You have to do something next. In this round, I'm giving you a longer text and there are 11 idioms here. But there are gaps in the idioms. You fill the gaps to create the idioms. How do you fill the gaps? Well, look at the words in blue on the left. You use these to fill the gaps in the text. Let's read all of the idioms on the left first, then let's read the text together with the gaps, and as I read, think about which words could fill those gaps. So the words that fill the gaps are for, ice, odds, line, green, hot, jump, face, edged, lead, and radar. Let's read the text together, think about which words fill the gaps as we're reading. Lena had always preferred working under the gap, quietly handling her projects without drawing attention. But when her team was at gap, with the company's direction, she realised staying quiet might be a double-gap sword. On one hand, it protected her from conflict, but on the other, it kept her from standing up what was right. One day, during a meeting behind closed doors, Lena decided to break the gap with her colleagues. "We need to draw a gap in the sand," she said, proposing a new strategy. They all took her idea at gap value, and then the executives gave her the gap light to lead the project. Suddenly, she was in the gap seat, with all eyes on her. As more people started to gap on the bandwagon, Lena knew she had to gap by example. Okay, how many could you match? Here comes the first one. Lena had always preferred working under the radar. And this means doing something discreetly or unnoticed by others. She was working under the radar. She just wanted to work on her own. She didn't want anyone else to pay her a lot of attention. Let's carry on. Quietly handling her projects without drawing attention. But when her team was at... This one is odds. At odds with the company's direction. And this means in disagreement or conflict with. At odds with, you're in disagreement, direct disagreement. Let's carry on. She realised staying quiet might be a double-edged sword, meaning that there are positive and negative effects to her activity. So there may be a positive to staying under the radar, but there may also be negatives too, leading to a change, which comes in a moment. Let's carry on. On one hand, it protected her from conflict, but on the other, it kept her from standing up for. If you stand up for something, you speak in support or defense of someone, or perhaps a particular idea or anything at all. Let's carry on. One day, during a meeting behind closed doors, Lena decided to break the ice. If you break the ice, it means you start a conversation to ease the tension. So you go into a room full of people, you want to talk to them, no one's talking to each other, someone's got to do it. You go and say the first thing by asking a nice friendly question. You break the ice if you do that. Next sentence. We need to draw a line in the sand. If you draw a line in the sand, it means you set a clear boundary or limit. Basically, this is what's happened so far. Let's draw a limit there. Let's stop this attitude that we've had in the past. And now let's move on to something new. And that leads into what comes next. We need to draw a line in the sand, she said, proposing a new strategy. They all took her idea at face value. And that means accepting something as it appears. So they simply believed exactly what she said. And then the executives gave her the green light. If someone gives you the green light, it means you give approval to proceed. Someone gave you approval to proceed. Suddenly, she was in the hot seat. This means she was under pressure or in a key position in the company. Her role suddenly became one of the most important. She was in the hot seat with all eyes on her. As more people started to jump on the bandwagon, this means join a popular trend or activity. So for Lena, suddenly she was leading a project and people jumped on the bandwagon, and that meant that they liked the project and they started supporting the project. So when this happened, Lena knew she had to lead by example, which means show what to do by doing it yourself. Now for another matching task. Match the beginnings and endings to make 9 more idioms. So the beginnings are put your money, point of, under, sweep, take it with, throw them, no strings, and open a. Which of these endings do they match? Attached, can of worms, no return, where your mouth is, under the carpet, a stand, a grain of salt, under the bus, and fire. The first one is no strings attached, which means no extra conditions. Then open a can of worms, which means you find one problem and that can reveal more problems afterwards. So maybe you're asked to investigate whether there are any mistakes in the company's accounting. You think you're only investigating perhaps one particular mistake in June, but as you investigate June, you realise there must be problems in May and July and August. You've opened a can of worms. You look for one problem, you found it, you identified it, but that revealed more problems. A point of no return means after this point you can't go back. People talk about that with climate change. They talk about a particular temperature that the world may reach, after which point climate change can't be reversed. That would be a point of no return. Put your money where your mouth is. Do something to prove you mean it. A bit like actions speak louder than words. Sweep under the carpet is the same as sweep under the rug, where you want to ignore something, pretend it's not there, and hope it goes away. If you take a stand, it means you decide to represent one way or the other. So if you're asked to choose whether you should paint a building red or paint a building blue, and you need to decide between the two, and eventually you take a stand and you say, I think we should paint it blue. Now, when you take a stand, it normally means that you are talking about something more serious and deep that's meaningful to people, where there may be a controversy. Take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes we say take it with a pinch of salt. And this means don't trust it very much. Maybe you hear a report from someone and it sounds very persuasive. Someone else comes along and says, don't take it with a pinch of salt. They often make things up. Throw them under a bus. This means put the blame on them. Put the blame on someone else. Maybe you're in an office with two other people and someone's trying to find out why things went wrong last month. Now, the three of you have agreed that it's a secret. But because of the pressure the management's putting you under, you decide to be honest with them and say, actually, it was Andrew's fault. You threw Andrew under a bus. And finally, under fire means being heavily criticised. Right, now we're going to complete sentence pairs by using the idioms that are beneath them, such as here. The idioms are a tough act to follow and fell short of expectations. So fill the gaps with these idioms. His presentation was brilliant. It's a something. The movie, something, leaving many disappointed. Think for a moment which words would fill the gaps where. And here are the answers. His presentation was brilliant. It's a tough act to follow, which means that something was so good, I don't feel like I can follow it because it won't be as good if I do it. The movie fell short of expectations. Well, if something falls short of your expectations, it disappoints you. You thought it would be better. Here's another pair. The restaurant service is something, depending on the day. She something and finished the project early. Is it hit the ground running or hit and miss? Think for a moment. Which one will you choose? Here are the answers. The restaurant service is hit or miss depending on the day. So on one day it's good, on one day it's bad. It's hit or miss. Hit means it's really good. Miss means it's really bad. She hit the ground running and finished the project early. If you hit the ground running, that means as soon as you start something, you do it at full speed with full effort, with no kind of warming up period. How about these? Now that she's promoted, she's something. Several new products are something for next year. In the pipeline, in the driver's seat. Think. Did you choose? Here are the answers. Now that she's promoted, she's in the driver's seat. In the driver's seat means you're in charge, in control. Several new products are in the pipeline for next year. That means there are products which are being made, being planned. They're not ready yet, but they will be ready in the time that's said. They're in the pipeline for next year. They're being prepared now. They'll be ready next year. How about these? We're something facing the same challenges. Let's tackle the something before addressing the hard problems. Is it low-hanging fruit or all in the same boat? Think for a moment. Here are the answers. We are all in the same boat, facing the same challenges. All in the same boat means exactly that. We're facing the same things. We're all going to have the same outcome, normally a difficult one. Let's tackle the low-hanging fruit before addressing the hard problems. Well, that gives you a clue. It means it's not the hard problems. The low-hanging fruit means the easy things first, before the difficult things. Here it means the easy problems to address, then the hard problems. But you can use it for other things. You can use it if you're trying to get easy sales before getting the more difficult sales. Here's another pair. The manager constantly something, making it hard to succeed. The schedule is not something, so changes are possible. Set in stone, moves the goalposts. Which one is it? The manager constantly moves the goalposts, making it hard to succeed. That means change what's required. And set in stone means that if something is set in stone, you can't change the plan. If it's not set in stone, you can change the plan. Gap. I heard they're considering a new candidate. We don't have a plan, so let's just gap. Play it by ear. Off the record. The first one is off the record. Off the record, I heard they're considering a new candidate. Off the record means it's not been officially announced. It's kind of a secret. I can tell you this, but I can't publish it. We don't have a plan, so let's just play it by ear. That means let's just make it up as we go along. He always tries to something with innovative ideas. Something during negotiations, let's stay calm. Push the envelope, don't rock the boat. The first one is push the envelope. Push the envelope means to try to reach new things that haven't been reached before. New ideas, new plans, new places. Don't rock the boat means don't upset anyone. Don't make things difficult. Something is we need results, not excuses. No one mentioned something during the meeting. The elephant in the room, the bottom line. The bottom line is we need results, not excuses. Bottom line is like the main thing. And no one mentioned the elephant in the room during the meeting. The elephant in the room is the big problem that no one is prepared to talk about. Here's another pair. Something decided to approve the new policy. We need to something to solve this issue. Is it think outside the box? The powers that be. The first one is the powers that be decided to approve the new policy. The powers that be really just means any authority that can agree to something. And we need to think outside the box to solve this issue. Think outside the box, think in a new, different way, which hasn't been done before. The manager, something to the team's mistakes. Our plans for the weekend are still something. Is it up in the air? Turned a blind eye. The first one is the manager turned a blind eye to the team's mistakes. That meant to pretend they weren't there, a bit like sweep under the carpet. But here it's to pretend that it didn't happen and move on anyway. Our plans for the weekend are still up in the air. That means haven't been decided yet. So that's 75 idioms so far, but at the beginning of the video, I promised you 80. So here's a final 5. At the end of the day, that means after considering everything. At the end of the day, you have to study hard to learn English. In and of itself, just considering the sole issue or item. In and of itself, practicing English grammar is really useful for making your English more accurate. Level the playing field means create equality. YouTube is excellent for learning because it levels the playing field. Everyone can get the same access to education. Open the floodgates. A small action leads to large consequences. Once you get on the internet, it opens the floodgates to all kinds of information being available to you instantly. And the tip of the iceberg, the first in a lot of things. If I pass this exam, it's the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to pass lots and lots more exams too. don't forget my new course that's just been released on IELTS, and this will help you achieve an examination result in IELTS that will give you access to work and study in an English-speaking country. And speaking naturally is a key part of the marking criteria for IELTS speaking. So make sure you use the skills you've learned in this video if you're going to take the IELTS test. Remember that there are links in the video description below me here. Click on those to find out more about these courses.